My husband cheated on me with his subordinate at work, a clear violation of company policy, so I anonymously reported her to human resources and got her fired from her dream job. When I found out my husband, Mark, was cheating, the pain was sharp and deep. But what came next was a different kind of feeling, a cold, focused anger. It was not just that he had betrayed our 10-year marriage, it was who he had chosen to do it with. The other woman was a junior analyst at his firm named Amanda. She was young, ambitious, and, as I soon discovered, utterly ruthless. Mark was her direct supervisor. She reported to him. He signed off on her projects and was in charge of her yearly performance reviews. I found out through our shared phone records. There were hundreds of texts and calls at all hours of the night. It was not hard to put the pieces together, the late nights he spent mentoring her, the business trips they took together. It was a classic, disgusting workplace cliché. My first instinct was to confront Mark, to scream and cry and tear our lives apart. But as I sat there, staring at the evidence, I realized that my anger was not just for him. It was for her too. She was not some innocent party swept up in a moment. She was a co-conspirator. She knew he was married. She knew she was sleeping with her boss, and she was using it to her advantage. I looked up her career progression online. She had received 2 promotions in the last year, both signed off on by Mark. It was not just an affair, it was a corrupt professional arrangement. Destroying my marriage felt like my pain. Destroying her career felt like justice. Mark's company, a massive, conservative financial institution, had a zero-tolerance policy for relationships between managers and their direct subordinates. It was a fireable offense, designed to prevent exactly this kind of favoritism and abuse of power. They took it very, very seriously. My revenge would not be a messy confrontation. It would be a quiet, anonymous, and professional takedown. I spent a week gathering my evidence. I printed out the phone records, highlighting the late-night calls and the sheer volume of contact. I found hotel receipts from their business trips in our shared credit card statements for single rooms with king-sized beds. Masterstroke came from our home computer. Mark had used it to log into his work email once and his password was saved. I found their email exchanges. They were not just romantic, they were full of company business. He had sent her confidential project details before anyone else on her team. He had given her preferential treatment, and they were both dumb enough to document it. I compiled everything into a neat, professional package. I did not write a letter from a scorned wife. I wrote it from the perspective of a concerned anonymous employee. Letter was concise and professional. It stated, I wish to report a serious breach of company policy regarding a relationship between a manager, Mark, and his direct subordinate, Amanda. This conflict of interest has resulted in clear favoritism and an unprofessional work environment. I have attached documentary evidence for your review. I put the printed documents and a flash drive with the digital copies into a plain manila envelope. I wore gloves to avoid fingerprints. I drove to a post office in a different town and sent it via certified mail to the head of human resources at his company's corporate headquarters. Then I waited. About a week later, Mark came home looking pale and shaken. Something terrible happened at work, he said. Someone reported Amanda for a policy violation. They are doing a full investigation. She has been suspended. I just looked at him and said, oh, that is awful. What did she do? The look of panic on his face as he tried to lie to me was almost satisfying. The investigation was swift. With the evidence I provided, she had no defense. 2 weeks after I sent the envelope, she was fired. Her security pass was deactivated and she was escorted from the building. Mark had to watch it all happen. He had to sit there while the woman he blew up his life for was professionally and publicly humiliated. He could do nothing to save her because admitting his role would have gotten him fired too. He came home that night completely defeated. He confessed everything, crying and begging for forgiveness. He said he would do anything to fix it. But he did not seem to understand. He thought the problem was Amanda getting fired. He did not realize that was the solution. I had already spoken to a lawyer. His affair and the corrupt professional behavior that went with it was all the leverage I needed for the divorce. He broke our marriage, but I made sure his co-conspirator paid the professional price for it.